Yeah, so killing the goat with the Mukubal tribe in Angola, I had to cut that tastefully, but also with the Hadza, I had to cut a lot of things tastefully as well. Like on the first hunt we went on, the first thing we caught was a baby deer, and it was a baby deer with its mother, but the mother got away, and so all the dogs rush the deer, the mother runs, the baby's caught by the dogs. The guys take the baby deer out to the road, and the first thing they do is they hold it down and they start biting the baby deer's ear. Like his name was Cha'aba, bends over and he sinks his canine into the baby deer's ear. So the baby deer will scream. And what normally happens is the mother comes, hearing her baby scream in a full fucking rage, and they fill her full of poison arrows, and they get both. In this case, the mother didn't come back, so the baby screamed, and all the warriors are there with their poison arrows waiting. Mother didn't come back. She knew the drill, knew the trap, essentially. And then they bit the baby deer's esophagus. What I couldn't show in the video was they took a big baseball-sized rock and just cracked it on the head about 5 times until its eyes went crossed, and then they bit the neck, and then we smoked a joint, which is a celebration. Yeah. And that was the first time I went hunting, but we didn't get baboons that day. They ended up getting away from us because they're crafty. So I came back the next year, and we brought the Hadza in our 4x4s to another part of the jungle where they're like, oh, there's definitely going to be baboons here. And there was tons. And the strategy they had was to do a midnight raid on the baboon camp. So every night, the baboons actually set up camp as well. And they usually try to find those Lion King-esque rocks, so, these big rock outcroppings where they can see the surrounding land and look for predators or, us, another predator. And so we set up camp nearby. That was...
All right, we are back. For good this time, hopefully. So we were talking about the Hadza we cut off where you were on the successful hunt with the deer, and then you started talking about the midnight raid.
Right, the baboons got away that time. So I came back the next year to do a proper baboon hunt, and we discussed with the Hadza beforehand, where can we go to almost guarantee baboons? And so we got the whole crew together again. They brought, I think, 8 or 10 hunter-gatherers. We had a group of like 15 dogs, and we set up camp at the base of this giant Lion King type rock, the big peninsula type island that you see in Lion King, where Simba was held above the African continent.
Yeah.
And that's where baboons like to spend the night, to camp. And these guys are ingenious, man. So we set up camp at the base, and the idea was at midnight, we were going to go, because there was no moon that night, go barefoot, sneak up the side of the mountain, and we were going to do a pincer movement. So there'd be one group that would stay on the front, and the second group would go to the other side of this rock tower. And then the first group would throw rocks, and the second group would attack. So basically we have me, and we have a couple other of the rookie hunters sneaking up bare feet in the dark, eyes with no flashlights, arms over the eyes so that thorns don't get in our face, getting scratched and hooked, trying to feel around like an ant, trying to feel where your feet are on the spikes and the rocks. It was very difficult. Along the way, when we did step on a rock, picking it up and putting it in our pocket so then we could throw it at the baboons. And so we get up there and we separate from the group. We stay put, and we're waiting for like a bird whistle from the other group in position. So again, pitch black. There's like thunder clouds. It was so ominous. And the baboons were getting suspicious. You could hear them kind of making their baboon sounds, like ooh, like they were spooked. Yeah. They knew something was up, but they didn't know what. And so we're there, my group sitting in silence, holding onto rocks, listening to baboons screech in the thunder and lightning happening above us. We hear like a whistle on the other side, and that was our cue. And so we had one flashlight. The guy kicks it on, one of the hunter-gatherers. We all grab our rocks. We start screaming, ah, ah, and start throwing rocks at the top of this rock tower. And the baboons freak out and all run the other direction. Meanwhile, on the other side, there were our boys with the poison arrows, and they were just filling these baboons full of poison arrows. So we get up after our first assault and we go over, and some baboons had been struck by poison arrows but had kept running. And some baboons were so scared they fell off the edge and died from impact on the ground. And so that night, the plan was to hike to the bottom, grab those baboons that had fallen, and then the next day come back and follow the blood trails to the ones that had been poisoned. And that's exactly what we did. So we grabbed the baboons who had fallen and brought them back to camp. And it was one of the craziest things I've seen on my travels is there was on the way back, we were going past the first assault point where we threw the rocks. And one of the hunter-gatherers saw that one of these baboons didn't tumble off, didn't run away, but kind of tucked himself underneath the lip of the cliff. And there was one baboon, very much the color of stone, but with the flashlight, they were able to see it, this really weak flashlight. And so Cha'aba, this same hunter-gatherer that had bit the deer's ear, loads a poison arrow into his bow, and he's like 100 yards away. It's like really, really far, right? Like, and I was like, there's no way he's going to make this shot. But the dude pulls back this homemade bow and arrow with like a animal sinew string or whatever and a piece of wood from the forest, slots it in and snipes this baboon from a football field away, right in the ribs. And the baboon freaks out, jumps up and runs away. And I had never seen like a feat of athleticism like that in my entire life. Like superhero Hawkeye level accuracy on a homemade bow. It just shows, like, again, in this world today, you can go and maybe you can go hunting with some hunter-gatherers, maybe, but they don't live it, right? Like, often you can see people who go do things, but they kind of just do it because it's the way they used to do it, but they live a modern lifestyle. These Hadza, man, they still do it every morning. They wake up and go hunting, whether there's tourists or no tourists. Back then, there wasn't really any tourists. Now, since I made these videos, and one has 15 million views, the other has 7 million views. Like it's definitely changed. But even still now, they still go hunting every single day. They love it. Yeah. It's part of their lifestyle. And they reject anything that's modern. I tried to give one of these guys a cookie. There was one day we were hunting where we didn't catch anything, and it was almost noon. And I had some like crackers and shit from the city. And they looked at me with such disgust that I would offer them the poison that is processed cookies from a store.
Yeah.
They'd rather eat the raw baboon liver or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're like, get out of here with this poison, this processed bullshit. Give me the baboon's ass.
The baboon's ass is the best part because it's so fatty. So they eat the baboon ass first.
Yeah, just watching. I remember watching that shot at the end of the video. The one where, because there's multiple videos, but the one where you actually caught the baboons. Watching the shot from truly homemade bow. Like, homemade isn't even doing it justice. Like, literally just the bent wood and a string, nothing, no other mechanisms, no modern compound bow, like nothing else on it. Just truly looked like craft this in the bush. You use it to shoot a baboon in the dark from 100 meters away. That was, I cannot imagine being there in person for that. Like that has to be, a record of something. Like, if he was competing in the Olympics for bow and arrow shooting, and everyone else is using these advanced compound bows to shoot,
with a sight, and all these things.
Yeah, with a sight, with a spotter, shooting targets that aren't moving from hundreds of meters away, and some dude
daylight.
And some dude's rolling up, smoking like the newspaper joints that they had in the video, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, let me just fucking rip this shot real quick," and just hits a baboon in front of all those other judges in the Olympics. They go like, like, give him 5 gold medals, like give him all of the medals we have. That is insane.
Yeah, it was unreal. And I just love seeing what humans are capable of, right? Like, that's a guy who's been hunting every day since he was physically able to hold a bow and arrow when he was like 5.